Well, all right. It is Wednesday, March 13. It's just about 9:15 in the morning, and I've wrapped up my day today. As you can see here, I was 4-0, although there is a little bit of a caveat to that. My first trade of the day actually was a losing trade, and luckily, because I use a sim account leader and I copy trade to my Apex accounts, for whatever reason that I'm not sure of, my Apex account didn't get copied to the trade, and so I actually avoided a loss today. Now, I only keep stats for the trades that actually happen on my Apex accounts. So I'll show you the trade I took and show the loss. But because it didn't hit any of my PA accounts, I'm just not going to include it. I'm just going to consider myself lucky for the day. My first trade of the day was on PA2. I believe. So we'll go back and look. Yeah, my first trade was PA2. It's right here. So I was very fortunate to avoid that first loss on a different chart, because that would have hit my most important PA account. So what can I say today? Today is the last day of the current promo for Apex, the 71% discount with the 3-day pass and the $35 resets. So I hope you've taken advantage of that. And we'll see what promo they run next. It's a little bit weird because usually after 71%, they'd usually go to like an 80% at the very least. But because they're running the 3-day promo, they might keep it at 71% and do a 1-day pass. Maybe they'll go to an 80% 1-day pass. Maybe they'll go to 80%, but back to 7 days to pass. Just not sure, not clear what they're going to do. But no expectation for a 90% next. So we'll see what they do at the end of today, and I'll update you with my video tomorrow. So yeah, today 4-0, 100% for me. For the week, I'm now 7-1, 88%. And overall for the year, 130 wins and 32 losses, right at 80% on the dot. 162 trades already for the year. So as far as volume, even after not getting any trades yesterday, back to a day where I'm 4-0. And, so I think the volume, on the low side, I'm getting at least 4 trades in a day. I could have kept trading, but I decided not to. My daughter is sick and staying home again today. And so I figured I should just try to get this wrap-up review video done and out of the way so I could post it to YouTube and go spend some time with her and make sure she's doing all right. So with all that being said, let's go to the trades. All right, so when I started, I actually started on this chart, and there was a very healthy downtrend in play. And I started right after 7, maybe 7:05, so kind of right as it was bottoming here. And you can see I marked this trade here. It only filled on the sim only. I did try to enter it on the PA number 2 as well, and it just, for whatever reason, didn't fill. And you can see it went a little bit in my favor before it just turned the other way and stopped it out. And as it was going against me, I could see in my window, my positions, that it was only filled on the sim account. And I still had all my orders for the PA account down here. So I just went ahead and canceled them as it was working against me. So my sim account took a loss there, but it didn't affect me on my Apex accounts. Very fortunate there. I can say that, I think this is another situation where I probably could avoid the trade, just kind of the stacking kind of bars. But, for as many times as this doesn't work on winning charts, on charts like this, where there had been no losing entries the entire day, probably just as many times as this happens and you get stopped out, you get the win on it as well, especially when you have the momentum of the chart working on your side. And it was with trend and everything. But yeah, so I'll just take that as a lucky avoidance of a loss. And, I think at the end of the day, sometimes it bounces out because sometimes you get bad fills or something with the copier happens and it works against you. All sorts of stuff happens. So when this happens, it just makes me think, okay, well, if there was another time where something went against me that wasn't great, and it didn't work in my favor, well, then there's days like today where it does work in my favor. So after this chart picked up losing entry here, I then switched charts to the chart where I picked up my first winning trade of the day. And so that was on this chart here. And so if I make it bigger, you can see this is where the entry was on the first trade that ended up losing, getting ticked out here, only counted against my sim account. And so now on this trade, this was on my PA number 2. And, I spin a wheel. If you don't know, check out my live stream. I spin a wheel and I let it choose randomly which account I'm going to trade. And so it picked PA number 2. And you can see it's a first entry, second entry. Now this is an inside bar and it's below the EMA and I'm going along right into the EMA. So you can see I'm not worrying about analyzing things or, having rules that keep me out of a trade. This is something that I wouldn't normally have been able to trade in the past, but with how I'm trading these charts now, where if the chart, every entry is working for my profit target, then I'm taking the trade. And so, I put my big boy pants on and I took this trade, even though it feels very uncomfortable to take it, especially if you've been studying something like max Pats for 3 years. This feels like an impossible trade to take, but I just am managing to turn that part of my brain off and trust my charts and trust my strategy and my edge, take the trade. And it worked for just 10 ticks this time. So I made $92.04 on that trade. And then I switched to another chart, and let me zoom back out here again. So you can see, price action continued. This is the live market right here. And I didn't take any further trades on this chart. And the next trade that set up on this chart after my win was actually a loss. And I believe I was just looking at another chart at the time, or I'm not sure what I was doing, but today's like an example too of like where I'm supposed to take every trade, but sometimes I don't see every trade on every chart, or I'm taking another trade on a different chart and it keeps me out of, like in this case, what would be a loser. So for example, where would it be? I think it's using this as a new low here, because you had a low here. So this is a new low, first entry short, second entry short below this candle, and it just didn't go far enough to get my profit target before it worked against it and would have been a loss. But I wasn't trading here. It actually looks like you can see from here, I was in a long trade right before that. So that's probably what was happening. So let me go ahead and find my next chart, and I can show that I was in a long here, and that's why I wasn't on this chart. I was probably updating my stats and putting the arrow in and putting this information in on that long. And while I was doing that, this setup occurred, and so I missed it doing something else. And it's kind of like a good thing and a bad thing about how my strategy works. But, I find that just taking my time, putting all this information in, it has saved me from some losses on other charts as well. So, I don't feel like in a rush to like do this, put this information in, put in my stats, make sure my days are updated, and just, calmly go about my day, not in a rush to like, oh, I got to get the next entry. So, in a case like today, that helps me. So let me find my next chart and I'll show you trade number 2. All right, so here's my next chart. And you can see not too much long after my previous trade. So if you're keeping count, my very first trade that was only on sim, here's where the loss occurred. Then here's where my second trade occurred here. So but technically that was my first trade, right, on my Apex accounts. So my first trade was at 718, 719. My next trade was right here. And as you can see, first entry, second entry, not a bad trade. The bar was a 78 tick risk bar for a signal bar. And you can see it went just enough to give me my scalp right away on the next bar. I was getting ready to just in case this started working against me, because that happened to me the other day where it worked against me. It took me out by 1 tick below my signal bar and then went on to work. So I'm always just getting careful now to see if there's a nearby previous swing that isn't adding crazy too much risk to the trade. So that if it does go against me before it hits my profit target, I'll move it there in case it engulfs. If it doesn't engulf, I'll just leave it where it belongs and take the loss if I'm supposed to take the loss. But especially on evaluations, I'm willing to move it to the previous swing if my signal bar gets engulfed on the entry bar, if that makes sense. But anyway, this trade I took on evaluation 29. I got 13 ticks. And as you can see here, I made $123 on that trade. And let me see. This went on to have a couple more wins, and then when it did pick up a loss, kind of down here, I think as you can see, I was in other trades, so I think the loss came right after these two trades I was in, and so I was busy and wasn't available to this chart to take the trade again on this chart when I would have got a loss. So you can see how that just works in my favor sometimes. Let's go to my last chart where I took 2 trades on it. All right, so here we go. You can see the current price action of the market and another chart, different size tick chart. And again, now at this point, all the other charts, I think no, they don't all have losses until after this last trade, I think. It's always hard to remember how the day went, even though it's just minutes after I finished trading. But you can see here, the market had been largely pretty sideways since I started at 7. Some moves up, some moves down. And so we had a big leg down. I didn't do this measurement until later. And I'll tell you why I did this measurement for a measured move down. But I wasn't worried or considering this first leg down at this point. But this was, again, a chart where all the entries had worked for the entire session up to this point. And so here was a first entry, and then this bar, after this bar formed, this bar ticked just below and then engulfed it, creating a second entry to the long side. So I took it on the engulfing. This was another one that I was ready to move it below the swing low here, just in case it went up, took me into the trade and came back down. I would have used this as my stop point. This was on evaluation 31, so I would have had no problem doing that. But it went on to work relatively quickly. Got 12 ticks and made $112 on that account. That account, evaluation 31, is now within $250 of passing the evaluation. So it's entirely possible I could do it on one more trade. I could definitely do it on one more trade, potentially if I make it 3 contracts. But I'm going to just trade it normal. I've got some time still on it, so I'll trade 2 contracts. Let me actually see when this one would. All right, yeah. So this evaluation doesn't renew for a long time. I actually had to go into a second month on it, and so it actually just renewed last week. So I've got 3 weeks on it. As you can see, I've already traded 12 days on it. So days won't be significant for any of my evaluations, really. If you look at all the active evaluations, no matter when any of them pass, they'll all have at least 7 days. So regardless if there's any kind of special pass for the promo pass or not, they'll be fine no matter how you look at it. So Oh yeah, so that was trade 3, got the win, and then I was in that trade at 8:02 essentially, and then my next trade I was in at 8:10, so only 8 minutes later, got into this trade, and again, it's like this trade would be a hard trade to take with any kind of rules and analysis. You are probably expecting a retest of at least, well, maybe not, because if you were to draw a line. Right, kind of break a new low in one bar, right? So you wouldn't be expecting a new low, I guess, if you were drawing lines. I don't do that anymore. But in any case, I had a second entry short here, first entry short, second entry short, going right into the EMA. Not the most bearish bar you can have, but again, this chart was all winning entries, and so I'm just trusting the chart, playing the chart, not playing the individual setups, how good they look, what rules they follow. Took the trade, worked just enough and a little bit more for my profit target before it went and turned the other way. So anyone going for a bigger profit target would have been taken out, only to see it then end up probably going to their target. And I did have in mind that, the whole time I was considering that we probably would retest the low at some point today. And especially when it turned down after this point, you kind of figure, okay, it's not going to retest the open anytime soon, and definitely not closing the gap, it doesn't seem like. So the next closest destination would be to retest the low. And so just at this point, some time went by, and I think after this trade, shortly around, maybe around here, was when this was the last good chart I had. Actually, there was another trade I would have considered taking. It's an interesting day for this reason. Let me see if I can find it. Where was it? Let me pause and see if I can find it real quick. Yes, here we go. So my last trade was right here. And so I was looking at that chart still. And then I think there was another chart that I was looking at that there was a second entry. But then after that chart, I just clicked onto this chart. And right when I clicked on it, there was this first entry, second entry above this bar right here. And if I make this a little bit bigger, it would have been triggered in and then immediately lost. Now, I had literally clicked on this chart and saw it like right as this bar was closing, and this would have been a trade I would have taken. Again, this chart had no losers for the whole day on any entry, so I would have absolutely taken this trade. I mean, it's a very flat EMA, so if you're doing analysis, you probably might not want to take it, and you're also probably thinking on this chart, it does look like you still need to retest this low, I would think, if you're drawing these channels. So if you're doing analysis, there's probably a reason to not take this trade. But in my case, I would have taken it, and it would have turned into a loss immediately. Now, this would have been on my PA account if I was taking the next trade. And I would have had to just accept the loss there. And good thing, because if I were to move it to the previous swing, that would have been taken out too. And that would be enough to, I'm sure, blow my PA account. So I got fortunate here that I just missed this trade, like literally just missed it by moments. Otherwise, that could have done some real damage to my PA account. I mean, only 48 tick bar, but still, it would have been PA 7, I think, was the next one I was supposed to trade. So I would have had very little drawdown after a loss right there. So I got fortunate again. A second loss of the day that I could have had, but just timing kept me out of the trade. And then I want to go back and show on this chart. The only other trade I was considering was right here at 8:47 in the morning. This was working down at this point. I was talking about, I was expecting to retest the low of the day. And then I was saying that there's a first entry, second entry. I was waiting for the second entry to appear. And so I drew this first leg down and the second leg down to see that we had reached the measured move. We had made a new low of the big move down from earlier in the day. And so, there's a big part of me that wanted to take this trade. Now, I was still supposed to trade PA7 next, according to my wheel that it shows it. And this was a 76 tick bar. So while I wanted to take this trade, it was a larger risk as far as bar size. And there's a lot of room down. I mean, if I show you, if this level wasn't holding the lows of the day, making a new low and then bouncing out of it, if that didn't hold, there is a whole lot of room down to the previous day's low. And so having that in mind, having the fact that it was my PA account that I was going to be trading next, I decided not to take the trade. Also considering it was almost 9 o'clock, which is like between 9 and 9:30 is where I usually want to stop for the day. I just decided against taking the trade. Shortly after, I was like, well, I should have just turned on my evaluation, like evaluation 35 at least, and taken the trade there. But I also just didn't want to end the day on a loss after I was 4-0. I'd already avoided a couple losses on my accounts. And so I just didn't want to tempt fate or be greedy. And kind of there's a lot of reasons to take it, and then there were some reasons to not take it. So I just thought better of it, decided not to be greedy, and let it go by. And this chart, continued to work. So, obviously this worked. If you go back to my live stream, I was saying before it even triggered that I would expect that if it does trigger, that it would get to at least the EMA. And you can see it went for even more than that. So I had the right read on it. I had the right idea. But I think I did the right thing by not being greedy and definitely not taking on the PA. Also, my daughter's sick, so I knew I wanted to try to be done with my review video by around this time. It's already after 9:30, so I'm gonna go spend time with her and make sure she's doing good. So, yeah, I skipped it. I could have been 5-0 today, but I wanted to end the day on a good note. After not getting any trades yesterday, it is nice to have a 4-0 day, and let me. Go ahead and put this back on here. So yeah, so a 4-0 day. Nice to pick up a 4-0 day after a no trade day, and move 4 accounts forward and progress them. So yeah, you can check me out every day. I changed it. I used to say 9:45 Eastern. I changed it to 10 with the time change. It still feels like I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning now instead of 6:30 to get here by 6:45 on, Pacific Standard Time. So, because of that, I changed it to 10 a.m., which is 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, I seem to at least be able to get to the live stream by about that time. Today it was 7:05, 10:05, East Coast. So, check me out every day. I'm live streaming. You can see all my trades happen live. You can go back after you see my reviews and check out my live stream, and you can watch the trades as they happened live and anything I might have been saying at the time. Have been getting some visitors lately, which is nice in the chat, hoping for more people to come by and chat with me throughout the trading session. And like I said earlier, 71% discount going on still today. Use this code or any other, and then they will update the promo to unsure what, but this code will give you the best current deal at any given time. And just continuing forward, continuing with my strategy. And even if I'm getting 4 trades a day, that's 20 trades a week on average. So I'm still on pace. I've got 8 trades for the week so far. 8 trades for the week so far. 7-1, 88%, with 2 days to go. So I'm maybe a little bit behind where I need to be as far as pacing to get to 20 trades. But the more important thing is my win rate is holding up, and I've only taken 1 loss so far this week, so that's good. And so seven trades have improved accounts this week for 7 accounts. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is a longer video than I thought it would be, and I think I've said it all. So thanks for joining me for the review. definitely check out the live stream. I think that's where the action is at in terms of like seeing what's really going on and what I'm really up to. I tend to be a bit quiet for most of the day, but I talk when I have something to talk about, or definitely when I take a trade. I talk around the areas of the trade, so you could just skip around and look for either where I'm talking or where the trade's occurring or has occurred, and then I'll talk about it. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing where I go on this journey. I'm trying to get to my first payout and trying to build more PA accounts as I go as well. So that's it. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for checking this out, and hope you had a good trading day.